A very good evening, all. I'm Aditi Lamba with the Tuesday night edition of South Asian News, Vision of Asia, the voice of our community. We are coming to you from our studio located in New York City. Welcome again to our presidential election 2020 special, with now President-elect Joe Biden declared as the winner of the 2020 presidential election. But before that, a quick look now at the coronavirus pandemic, which is surging across the nation. Globally, we are looking at more than 51 million COVID-19 cases with at least 1.27 million deaths. In the United States, we have surpassed 10 million cases with almost 240,000 deaths. The Midwest is still leading the surge of cases. However, the impact of the second wave of coronavirus can be felt in all 50 states. Eyes continue to be on the vaccine for COVID-19, and on that today, Pfizer and its collaborator BioNTech released an early result stating that their vaccine prevents more than 90% of infections with the virus which causes COVID-19. U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci welcomed this vaccine announcement but warned that the winter months promise to bring more infections as people stay indoors. So again, we'd like to remind all our viewers that the pandemic continues and hospitalizations continue to soar. So don't forget to mask up and please practice social distancing and wash your hands. Now back to the election. President Donald Trump has yet to publicly concede and has vowed the challenge to results while President-elect Joe Biden moves forward with his transition plans, calling President Trump's refusal to concede an embarrassment. The Biden-Harris transition team has released their full list of members of their agency review teams and reiterated that their transition is continuing full steam ahead. President Trump has made several allegations at the integrity of the election process, making claims about voter fraud on Twitter, and is filing lawsuits without much proof. So where do we as a nation go from here after such a contentious and bitter election cycle? And where is the South Asian representation and voice in all of this? We continue tonight to present much on election cycle 2020 and the path moving forward. Here are the headlines. Veteran journalist Rohit Vyas addresses election 2020. Biden begins transition plan as Trump refuses to concede, New Jersey. Jenifer Rajkumar becomes the first South Asian American woman elected to Assembly, District 38, New York State Assembly. Indian Americans celebrate President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris in Edison, New Jersey. Time for a short break on Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. We'll be right back. And welcome again. I'm Aditi Lamba and this is Vision of Asia, Tuesday night episode of South Asian News. We continue to present updates on this very crucial 2020 presidential election results and moving forward today. Today, President-elect Joe Biden said that nothing would stop the transfer of power in the U.S. government, even as sitting President Donald Trump says that without any evidence, the election was marred by fraud and some of his Republican allies backed probes. President-elect Biden secured more than 270 electoral votes he needed to take presidency by winning Pennsylvania after 4 tense days of counting, and said that his team is pushing ahead with forming new administration to take over on inauguration day, January 2021, no matter what. Meanwhile, President Trump has launched legal challenges to Joe Biden's victory in several battleground states such as Pennsylvania. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo predicted today a second Trump administration in comments which were at odds with congratulatory phone calls between Joe Biden and the leaders of Britain, France, Germany, and Ireland. So where do we go from here? Earlier today, we discussed this election and its outcome with veteran journalist and political commentator Rohit Vyas. Here's what Mr. Vyas shared with us on this. Mr. Rohit Vyas, thank you so much for joining us again on ITV Gold. I hope you're doing well today.
Thank you very much. I hope you are doing well.
Yes, of course. A lot has changed since we last spoke, and we have a new President-elect Joe Biden in the nation with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris really making the news right now. There's so much to discuss. So let's just begin by your reactions on the election as a whole. Pennsylvania has flipped blue. We're still waiting on Arizona and Georgia, but it's been quite an incredible historic election. How have you processed it?
No, you said it. It was a historic election, one of the tightest races I've ever seen in my lifetime, certainly, and you'll be seeing in your lifetime ahead as well. This was a tight race, a good race, and I think the American people spoke loud and clear, even though it took time for them to gather all the votes, count all the votes because of various state regulations, etc. Pennsylvania in particular waiting until election day and just after hours after to count absentee ballots or mailed-in ballots. But I think the election has shown the integrity of the process, the entire process in the United States. And those who've been critical of the election process should be dismissed entirely, because I think the election has spoken greatly about the essence of American democracy.
Yes, of course, millions and millions of votes were cast in this election. We will never forget the amount of, voter awareness that we even did during this process. I'd like to ask you about the two battleground states that are still left, Georgia and Arizona. Why are they still so important? And, why have they not been able to count this?
Well, why are they important? Because of flipping of the state, possibly to the Democrats. Both are heavily Republican states for a long time. Arizona much longer, and Georgia has been in recent decades extremely Republican. So I think that's why it's a nail biter of a race. There are also two Senate races that are still to head into runoffs in Georgia. So that's a critical component of the election. And all of this, again, is to do with absentee ballots, the fact that ballots are mailed in, being counted. It's not the instant push of a button, but physically the monumental task of actually physically counting every single vote, because you've got to open up the mail, be very careful that you don't damage the ballot, then scan them, and to verify that everything is read clearly. It involves a lot of manpower, and I think because of the pandemic, none of the states were as prepared, even though they tried to be as prepared as possible for this mammoth task. Just imagine the amount of manpower required, and if you don't have enough manpower, which you probably didn't in all the states, then the limited pool of election workers who are there for each election have to deal with this huge landslide of mail and paper ballots to be counted. And I think none of the states was really ready for it.
Right.
They did their best, but nobody anticipated a pandemic to begin with. And then to anticipate this type of deluge of paper ballots coming in is tough. So that's all it is. And I think they're also trying to be very meticulous, given the fact that President Trump has not yet accepted the results and has used legal recourse to challenge the results, indeed, in many of those states, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, a lot of places that he wants to challenge the outcome. And that means recounts going on and things like that. So mindful of that fact, I think the states are being very, very meticulous.
Right. You just highlighted my next question, which is about President Donald Trump and his refusal to accept the results of the election. What kind of a message do you think it is sending across the nation when you have a sitting president who is not accepting a decision, while leaders across the world are congratulating President-elect Joe Biden for his victory?
Yeah, good question, and two parts to that. One is, of course, it is the tradition for world leaders when an outcome is declared publicly, and in this case, it's obviously the media, the Associated Press, and others who called the race. Because what happens is, statistically, when you look at each of the media outlets, the big media outlets have statistical desks. And what they do is mathematically figure out whether it's possible for anyone to overshoot the leading candidate or not. Okay, and once they come to that conclusion that it's not mathematically possible, then they call a race. When a race is called in any democracy, especially the United States, it is the tradition for foreign leaders to congratulate the declared president-elect, etc. President Trump is actually within his legal rights to challenge the outcome. Any president is, any incumbent is within their right. If they feel that they still have a chance, even a smidgen of a chance, they can challenge the outcome. In his case, don't forget, he has secured 70 million votes, from what we know. That's half the electorate. So while Biden got 5 million more of the popular electorate, the popular votes, it was still a very, very tight race. So Biden would have got, say, 75 million as opposed to Donald Trump's 70 million. It's a good showing by President Trump, which means he will have a lot of influence over his party, the Republican Party, and over his base for the next 4 years. So it's within his right. In fact, George W. Bush, one of the only Republicans to reach out, extend a hand of congratulations to Joe Biden, specified that in his congratulatory message to President-elect Biden. He told him that, while President Trump is within his right to seek legal recourse, the fact is you're the president-elect and you deserve our congratulations, and it's a battle well won. And whatever the outcome, we still want to congratulate you. Something to that effect, where George W. Bush also enunciated the fact that it is it is President Trump's right to challenge any result. In fact, George W. Bush's campaign did that back in 2000, right, when that infamous Florida count took place. And in that case, it was even closer than this, very close. 535 or something, some odd number eventually, and they actually had to physically count those votes. But Al Gore, being Al Gore, was gracious in immediately accepting, once the recount was complete in Florida, with just 535 votes ahead, right, to say, I'm out of the picture now, and congratulations to the victor, which was George W. Bush.
Celebrations for the president-elect's victory has been taking place across the nation after his victory was declared on Saturday this past weekend. The commemorations also saw several Indian Americans come together to honor this election result, with President-elect Joe Biden and South Asian and African American Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Some Indian Americans are calling this election an early Diwali present, reflecting on the Indian Festival of Lights and its significance of bringing positive energy and news. The festival takes place this coming weekend. Along with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris' win, all four other Indian American Democrats in Congress were also re-elected and have been called the continuing Samosa Caucus in the U.S. Congress. We are super proud to see this representation and respect of our community. Here is a highlight of a car rally celebration which took place in Edison, New Jersey, featuring members of the South Asian community. Here's what they shared with us on ITV Gold in New Jersey.
Good afternoon, ITV. Thank you very much for coming out to this car rally. Today is a very, very special day for America. We have a newly elected President, Joe Biden. This is a great news for the community. We need someone who will unite the country. The country is called United States, America. United States of America. We are all American. We need someone in Washington to unite us instead of dividing us. It's a great, great achievement for this country. Let's all work together to continue the progress of this great country. Thank you very much.
I want to thank Raja Bhai and ITV for covering this event today. I'm Mahesh Bhagya, the chairman of Edison Democratic Organization. This is a big historic day for us. Now is a time for uniting everyone, finding a common ground with each one of us. We have to forget our differences and figure out a way to work with each and every one of us. So I request everyone to stay united and work with everyone. And this is also historic in a way. We have a first female who is elected in such a high profile vice president position. This sends a starting point for all the female to go forward for this position. Thank you.
I just want to say that we're happy that Biden is the president now, and we hope that he makes the country great again, and he helps all the Muslim and Pakistani around in the United States.
My name is Arisha, and I just like to say that I'm very happy that Biden is now president of the United States of America. He's going to do a way better job than Trump, and I feel like we're all going to get opportunities that we never got before because he's a way better president, and we're just going to have a nice 4 years.
My name is Manahil, and I'm happy that Trump is not our president anymore, and I hope we have a good future.
Hi, thank you ITV Gold for coming here and taking part in this event. This is amazing. This is what you see when you see unity in diversity. This is the choice that the American people have made, that we want democracy with unity and diversity. We thank everybody that went out and voted for change, and that's what we got. We're getting the change that we so drastically need with this new president that we have, the 46th President-elect Joe Biden, and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. That's another thing. We have a minority, a woman that is in high office, that is going to make the difference that we need to see. And I want to thank everybody that went out and voted. Thank you so much. Mohin Patel.
My name is Javed Syed. We Indian American Muslims congratulate our President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. And we are looking forward for a great victory, for this victory, and we are looking forward for Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris working with Indian Muslims, and addressing the Indian Muslim issues. It's a great victory for all of us. So we from New Jersey congratulate again to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Thank you very much.
This is a victory of the world, victory of the democracy. Today is not just American victory, because we need a world leader. And I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will provide us that. For last 4 years, we lost the leadership. We lost the leaders in the community. Look at the pandemic, what's going on in this country. We had no leadership to protect this community from the COVID 2019, because nobody could think or provide leadership. I think nobody provided leadership to the community. Black, white, brown, doesn't matter who you are. People never fed their community. People never felt that they are in their own countries. So thanks God, today is a change, and the change is good. I think America will be leader in the world again and the community. Thank you.
This is Muhammad Faiz Ahmed from Kuwait. Joe Biden Zindabad! Joe Biden Zindabad! Joe Biden is changed the America. From last year, Trump, no leader, nothing. We lost everything. Inshallah, we will get everything from Joe Biden.
It's time for the short break on Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community, South Asian News segment. We'll be back shortly. And welcome back. This is Vision of Asia, the South Asian News segment, and I am Diti Lamba. We are bringing to you updates and comments on the 2020 general elections tonight. We have now our exclusive conversation with Jenifer Rajkumar, who has become the first South Asian American woman to be elected to the 38th District of the New York State Assembly. A proud Indian American and a Democrat, Jenifer Rajkumar defeated her Republican rival, Giovanni Perna. Jenifer, who is a Stanford-educated lawyer and an immigrant rights advocate, will now represent one of the most diverse districts in the New York State Assembly, which houses a great number of South Asian Americans in Woodhaven, Ridgewood, Richmond Hill, Ozone Park, and Glendale. Talking to us about her win, Jenifer Rajkumar also laid out her plan moving forward as a new New York State Assembly woman, highlighting the need to address issues of coronavirus pandemic, racial unrest, and economic crisis. Here is our conversation with Jenifer Rajkumar. Jenifer Rajkumar, it's so great to welcome you back on ITV Gold. Congratulations. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good. Thank you.
Of course, we have to start this by the massive victory you got. You are the first South Asian American woman to be elected in the New York State Assembly for District 38. So I have to ask you, starting this interview, how are you feeling today, and how has this process been for you?
I feel incredibly grateful. I'm filled with gratitude for the people that elected me. They put their faith and trust in me, and this really is their victory. It's been an incredible journey. It's taken me all around South Queens, and I'm so inspired by all of the people I met and the stories I heard, and I can't wait to get to work.
Yes, definitely. How has the response been so far, Jenifer? Your district is one of the most diverse districts, in Queens. It houses a lot of South Asians as well. How have they been reacting?
The reaction has been of incredible pride. The community is so proud that finally a South Asian woman has been elected in New York State. Because even though we have 300,000 South Asians, we've never had anyone elected from our community. And now we finally have a seat at the table of power in New York State.
Yes,
and so I heard from many families across the district, Guyanese and Bengali and Punjabi families, all calling to congratulate me. And I'm so happy to share this victory with them.
Yeah, definitely. Such a great moment for us South Asians. How was the turnout, Jenifer? I know in primaries you broke the record for turnouts of your district. How was it this time?
Once again, the general election was also record breaking in this district. So I'm so proud that we were able to energize the district. And of course, also the presidential race also helped energize voters. I've never seen lines like this in South Queens. Even in the early morning, 5:30 a.m., there were lines stretching outside of the poll site. It really was a sight to behold.
Yes, for sure. You know, Jenifer, you are the first South Asian American elected to the New York State Assembly office. You know, there's another South Asian American who's also been elected to the office for the first time. He's a male. What do you think are going to be the changes that the two of you bring together to the state assembly? What kind of issues do you hope to target, especially being a South Asian American?
What I'm going to focus on is constituent services, for one. My district is 72% immigrant, and these immigrant communities have been overlooked and underfunded for a very long time. I'm going to change that. And my office is going to be a place where immigrants can come for help in navigating America, navigating our courtrooms, our government, our educational system. So I'll be setting up strong offices across the district where people can come for help. And for the first time, immigrant communities will have a place where they can go and where they will be heard.
Yes, for sure. You know, you are taking up office, Jenifer, while we are in the COVID-19 crisis. There is a racial unrest and we're in an economic crisis. I would like for you to address all these three topics and what is going to be on your agenda for these, especially on the fact that COVID-19 cases are currently rising as we speak.
Yes, my district here in Richmond Hill actually has the second highest coronavirus positivity test rate this week. So that's alarming. Richmond Hill also is a place that has not even one HHS testing site. New York City Health and Hospitals has not set up even one testing site. So this has to change. The Richmond Hill area needs attention. And I am very hopeful with the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because Biden just released a comprehensive coronavirus recovery plan for the country. And that includes investing in increased testing, tens of millions of additional tests per day. So I am going to be an advocate to make sure that that attention is also given to South Queens, that federal aid flows freely into my district.
Could you let us know how much help is needed currently, Jenifer? And if we are going into the second wave of coronavirus, looking at your district, which is so badly hit by it, what are the needs? What is the status of PPE? What could you tell us?
The needs are enormous in so many areas. We have to look at the vaccine, which is coming. And we will need, I believe, to make that vaccine free for all Americans. Joe Biden has predicted $25 billion in investment just to make that a vaccine free for all Americans. So that's going to be key. It's also going to be key to make sure that that vaccine is distributed widely within my district. So I'm going to be a strong advocate for that as well. And then I'm going to be focusing on the economic rebuilding of my district. 1 million Americans are now unemployed. And you can see those numbers in my district where workers are struggling. So it's going to be a top priority of mine to help rebuild our small businesses and also give workers the extra help they need so that they can make it through this very difficult time.
And this wraps up our show for the night. Remember to send us your suggestions and get your voices and organizations in our show. Email us on events@itvgold.com or follow us on Facebook at itvgold. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch many of our popular shows for free. Thank you for joining us tonight from Queens, New York. This is Vision of Asia, and I am Aditi Lamba. Take care and be well.